Oh, kanina ka pa malungkot dyan ah. Ano bang problema at iniisip mo?
Kanina ko pa kasi tinatawagan sila Miss Dema, si Ma'am Dalia, tsaka si Sir J. Magpapatulong sana ako sa illustrative examples ng financial analysis. Kaya lang, di sila sumasagot eh.
May tutorial sa YouTube ah. Try mo manood. Baka makatulong.
Oo nga, no?
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we're going deep into financial statement analysis. By the end of this tutorial, you'll not only understand how to analyze financial statements, but also see real computations in action. Stick around. G. Financial statements are essential for understanding a business performance. They answer critical questions like, kumikita pa kaya yung negosyo natin? Or, mababayaran kaya ng mga kumpanya yung utang niya? There are three key statements. Number 1, the balance sheet. This shows the company's assets, liabilities, and equity at a point in time. Number 2, the income statement. This highlights the company's revenues, expenses, and profits over a period. And number 3, the cash flow statement. This tracks cash inflows and outflows, showing liquidity. For evaluating financial statements, we will use the case of Maryville Company. Here's a summary of Maryville's financial highlights. Total assets grew from 1.4 million in 2024 to 6.87 million in 2025. And net income increased from 1.07 million in 2024 to 1.31 million in 2025. Next, let's explore how cash flow is analyzed using two methods, the direct and indirect method. Tingnan natin maigi ang screen para makita natin yung comparative balance sheet and statement of cash flows for the year ended 2025. And we will use the indirect method. As you can see in the comparative balance sheet, we have a beginning balance of 314,000. And for the indirect method, we will just look on the key adjustments for 2025, the depreciation expense, the decrease in accounts payable, and in increase inventory. Para makuha yung ending balance, i-add natin itong cash flow and beginning cash balance, which is 4,685,200 plus 314,800. At meron tayong makukuhang tumataginting na 5 million pesos. Direct method. This method identifies specific cash inflows and outflows. So, cash in and cash out lang yan. Para ka lang tumatalpak. We will not dwell into the whole table as you can see in the screen. We will just take a look on the operating activities for 2025. Total cash received from customers, which comes from sales of 3.4 million pesos minus change in accounts receivable of 400,000 equals 3 million pesos. Payments to suppliers with a total of 1,108,000 pesos. Nakuha ito sa pag-add ng cost of goods sold plus changes in accounts payable and inventory. Then, para makuha ang net cash from operations, ang formula ay net cash equals cash inflows minus cash outflows. So, ang net cash from operations equals 1,165,500. And again, para makuha ang ending balance, i-add lang natin ang cash flow plus beginning cash balance. So, kung makikita nyo, ang cash flow ay 4,685,200. I-add lang natin siya sa beginning cash balance na 314,800 at meron na naman tayong tumataginting na 5 milyong piso. Ano sa tingin nyo ang mas madali? Indirect ba o direct method? Please answer in the comment section at babasahin ko po iyan isa-isa.
Horizontal analysis. First, let's perform horizontal analysis. This compares financial data over time to spot trends. Cash growth. In 2024, Maryville had
314,800 in cash. By 2025, this grew to 5 million pesos. For the computation of change, 5 million pesos minus 314,800 equals 4,685,200. For computing the trend, we will divide the change over the cash in 2024. So, 4,685,200 divided by 314,800 equals 14.88. For the computation of the trend for total assets and total equities, since as per table, both have same values, we will divide the total assets or total equities change over the total assets or total equities in 2024, and we will get the trend of 3.91. Net income growth. Net income increased from 1,071,000 in 2024 to 1,319,444 in 2025. For the computation of change again, 1,319,444 minus 1,071,000 equals 248,444. Then we will compute for the trend 248,444 divided by 1,071,000 and we will get a 0.23. For the other items, ganun lang din po ang gagawin natin para makuha natin yung mga values ng trends. Vertical analysis. Next, let's try vertical analysis. Vertical analysis expresses each item as a percentage of a base figure, like total assets or total sales. Example, cash as a percentage of total assets. In 2024, cash was 314,800 and total assets were 1,400,000. So, kapag compute natin yung percentage, we will just divide the 314,800 over 1,400,000. At i-multiply natin to sa 100, kaya makukuha natin ang 22.49%. Sa 2025 naman, cash was 5 million and the total assets were 6,871,420. So, kung kumpitin natin ulit ang percentage, i-divide natin ang 5 million sa 6,871,420 at i-multiply natin sa 100 and we will get a 72.77%. This shows that Merivale significantly increased its liquidity in 2025. It shows that Merivale Company increased its ability to quickly convert its assets into cash, essentially indicating how easily it can meet its short-term financial obligations. Key ratios and computations. Ratios are critical for deeper insights. Let's compute a few important ones. Current ratio. This measures the company's ability to pay short-term liabilities. The formula is current assets divided by current liabilities. For 2024, the ratio is 949,900 divided by 290,600 and we will get a 3.27:1 ratio. For the 2025, the current ratio is 6,191,100 over 632,576 and we will get a 9.79:1 ratio. EPS or the earnings per share. The EPS shows profitability per share. The formula, net income divided by number of shares outstanding. So for the 2024 EPS, 1,071,000 divided by 50,000 equals 21.42 pesos per share. For the 2025, EPS equals 1,319,444 divided by 75,000, which results to 17.59 peso per share. Residual income. This measures profits beyond minimum expected returns. Formula, net income minus, open parenthesis, required return times total assets, close parenthesis. So for the 2024, residual income is 1,071,000 minus 1,400,000 times 16% equals 847,000. And for the 2025, residual income equals 1,319,444 minus 6,871,420 times 16% equals 220,017 pesos. O di ba? Basic lang sa inyo ang financial statement analysis. Now, let's go on earnings per share o yung tinatawag nating EPS. If you're ever wondered how companies measure their profitability per share, kinig ka lang dito. Papaliwanag ko yung EPS. Kukumputin natin using real examples from Company A and Company B and highlight why it matters. So again, let's dive in. EPS is a key metric in finance. It measures the profit a company earns for each share of stock, helping investors evaluate performance. The formula of EPS is net income divided by number of shares outstanding. EPS is vital because it provides a direct way to compare the profitability of companies, even if they're different sizes or have different share counts. Let's bring EPS to life with an example. Company A and Company B. Both have a net income of 1 million pesos. Both issued 1 million shares. However, Company A started on January 1, while Company B started on October 1. If we calculate EPS without considering timing, EPS equals 1 million over 1 million equals 1 peso. But this is misleading because Company B operated for only 3 months. To fix this, we use the weighted average EPS. Here's how to compute weighted average EPS for both companies. For Company A, shares were outstanding for the full year or 12 months. Weighted shares equals 1 million times 12 months over 12 months equals 1 million. EPS equals net income over weighted shares equals 1 million over 1 million equals 1 peso. And for Company B, shares were outstanding for only 3 months. So the weighted shares is 1 million over 3 months over 12 months. And the EPS is 1 million divided by 250,000 equals 4 pesos per share. Stock adjustments. Sometimes, companies adjust their shares through stock splits, stock dividends, or new issuances. Let's explore how this affects EPS using another example. Suppose a company has the following transactions. January 1, 10,000 shares issued. 105% stock dividend applied. May 1, 15,000 new shares issued. June 1, shares remain unchanged, which is 15,000. To calculate weighted average shares, multiply shares by the months they were outstanding. We will just multiply the running balance times stock dividends times split up or down values times restated balance times number of months. For example, for January 1, 10,000 times 105% times 2 times 4 equals 84,000. Then, weighted shares equals 246,000 over 12 equals 20,500. Then, this is used in the EPS formula. EPS equals net income over weighted shares. For a net income of 1 million, EPS equals 1 million divided by 20,500 equals 48.78. Ngayon naman, sabay-sabay natin tignan ang Case 5 ng librong Financial Management, The Ultimate Guide to Graduate School. Ang mayakda nito ay ang kapitapitagan at gwapong-gwapong si Attorney Akailar. Pwede pong pakibuklat sa page 51. Hindi po ito paid advertisement pero Attorney Akailar, baka naman. So, nasa page 51 na po tayo. In case 5, we're dealing with a company that has the following financials. Net income equals 4.5 million after 30% income tax, loans payable 20,000 issued at 12%, convertible bonds payable 300,000 at 12% with a par value of 2,000, common stock outstanding 1.2 million at 10 peso par value. Then for additional details, the bonds are convertible into common shares at a rate of 100 shares per 2,000 peso bond. 30,000 shares can also be purchased at 10 peso per share. Average market price during the year was 10 peso, while the price at year-end was 20 peso. So let's calculate the basic EPS, potential diluted EPS, and fully diluted EPS. First, let's compute the basic EPS. The formula is basic EPS equals net income divided by number of shares outstanding. Then for the computation of basic EPS equals 4.5 million divided by 120,000. The basic EPS is 37.50. Now, let's calculate the different types of EPS. Please take note that 20% ceiling common stock issued. The third column is 15,000 only because that is the maximum that can be deducted from the proceeds. For the computation, interest expense savings from the assumed payment of loans equals 20,000 times 12% times 70% equals 1,680 pesos. For the interest income from assumed acquisition of government securities, tax-free, equals 40,000 times 15% equals 6,000. And the basic EPS is 4,500,000 divided by 120,000, which is 37.5. For potential diluted EPS, PDEPS equals 4,500,000 plus 1,680 plus 6,000 divided by 120,000 plus 14,000 CSE equals 33.6 pesos. And for the fully diluted EPS, FDEPS equals 4,500,000 plus 12,600 divided by 120,000 plus 15,000 CSE plus 7,500 equals 31.7 peso. Natapos na tayo sa pag-analyze ng mga financial statements. Ano bang added value nito? And what can we learn from these numbers? Maryville improved its liquidity but struggled with profitability per share. They rely heavily on financing activities like issuing shares to grow. Operational efficiency needs improvement to sustain long-term profitability. Here's why EPS matters. Timing and adjustments. Always consider when shares were issued or adjusted to avoid misleading results. Profitability insights. A higher EPS generally means a more profitable company, but investors should also look at the revenue growth and expenses. Comparing companies. EPS helps level the playing field when comparing businesses of different sizes. Diluted EPS accounts for convertible bonds, stock options, and other securities that can increase share count. These calculations help investors understand worst-case scenarios for their shares value. And tip, regularly analyzing financial statements helps identify strengths and weaknesses, ensuring better decision-making. And that's how you analyze financial statements. Understanding trends, ratios, residual income, and earnings per share can help you evaluate any businesses. Kung nakatulong ang video ito, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more quick lessons. Let me know in the comments what financial topics you'd like to see next. At maraming salamat sa inyong panonood.
Shoutout muna tayo!